For those of you that would like prayer support with our beloved volunteer prayer chaplains, we are now offering the ability to pray with them through Zoom. Go to our website, unitytriangle.org/events, and click on one-on-one prayer with a prayer chaplain. And you will be accessing a prayer chaplain directly to pray with you. They will be available after the 9 o'clock and before the 11 o'clock service. They are here to pray with you, to support you with your needs, especially during this trying time that we've been through this past year. We are here for you, and we welcome the opportunity to pray with you.
Types, which would be the kind of people who tend to fulfill their potential, also tend to be the kind of people who tend to make the growth choice over the fear choice routinely. Okay? A high art. Now, Joseph Campbell, who of course gave us the hero's journey and the bumper sticker "Follow Your Bliss," he said that phase one of responding to a calling, which of course is the beginning of any hero's or heroine's journey, phase one is running from it. Okay, it's universal, it's inevitable, it's...
For those of you that would like prayer support with our beloved volunteer prayer chaplains, we are now offering the ability to pray with them through Zoom. Go to our website, unitytriangle.org/events, and click on one-on-one prayer with a prayer chaplain. And you will be accessing a prayer chaplain directly to pray with you. They will be available after the 9 o'clock and before the 11 o'clock service. They are here to pray with you, to support you with your needs, especially during this trying time that we've been through this past year. We are here for you, and we welcome the opportunity to pray with you.
Self-actualizing types, which would be the kind of people who tend to fulfill their potential, also tend to be the kind of people who tend to make the growth choice over the fear choice routinely. Okay? A high art. Now, Joseph Campbell, who of course gave us the hero's journey and the bumper sticker Follow Your Bliss, he said that phase one of responding to a calling, which of course is the beginning of any hero's or heroine's journey, phase one is running from it. Okay? It's universal, it's inevitable, it's... actualizing types, which would be the kind of people who tend to fulfill their potential, also tend to be the kind of people who tend to make the growth choice over the fear choice routinely. Okay? A high art. Now, Joseph Campbell, who of course gave us the hero's journey and the bumper sticker Follow Your Bliss, he said that phase one of responding to a calling, which of course is the beginning of any hero's or heroine's journey, phase one is running from it. Okay, it's universal, it's inevitable, it's about fear and resistance and maybe anger and having your boat rocked, okay, and which of course callings specialize in, all right? Though it's quite possible that the degree of resistance you might have to whatever the pandemic year has been calling for from you might actually be proportionate to the amount of power and growth waiting to be unleashed when the no turns into a yes.
For those of you that would like prayer support with our beloved volunteer prayer chaplains, we are now offering the ability to pray with them through Zoom. Go to our website, unitytriangle.org/events, and click on one-on-one prayer with a prayer chaplain. And you will be accessing a prayer chaplain directly to pray with you. They will be available after the 9 o'clock and before the 11 o'clock service. They are here to pray with you, to support you with your needs, especially during this trying time that we've been through this past year. We are here for you, and we welcome the opportunity to pray with you.
Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun. I said, it's all right. Little darling, it's been a long, cold, lonely winter. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun. I said, it's all right. Little darling, the smiles returning to their faces. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun. I said, it's all right. Sun, 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 here it comes. Sun, 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 here it comes.
Good morning and welcome to our service today. It's a big day for the church and I guess our lives, because it's been a year that we have been online, and it just feels gruesome that they have been seeing us, but we have not seen them. And I so look forward to, once things get to, I would say, a new normal, we get to see each other, love each other, and be together.
It's going to be a brave new day. I think we'll, I had thought it might take longer, but it may be speeding up with the vaccinations going out so well. So I'm hopeful that we'll be back at least by the beginning of summer. If not a few months earlier. Who knows? Who knows?
And today we have a special service because we have a special guest speaker who's going to, Gregg Levoy, and I'm sure you're going to just give more information as to his bio, but he's really going to bring us into the space of reflecting what this year, what the pandemic is calling from us. What are we more than ready to let it be, to express? And we're in for a treat.
Yeah, Gregg Levoy is a really good speaker. He has been here before. He was also a professor at New Mexico University and wrote for the New York Times Magazine, for the Washington Post, for the Reader's Digest, and many other publications. So he's well respected in the field, wrote a book that many people recommend when you're trying to decide your life's purpose and what to do with your life, called Callings, has become a standard in the industry. Anyway, he's going to be here today, at least online. And he's going to be talking about how to use this pandemic time to see what is desiring to emerge through us to come into being, and how we can be asking the right questions of ourselves so that we cooperate with the opportunity that's in front of us.
What I love about today, let me tell you, it could be a grand day because we have already seen his talk and it's really engaging and powerful. And it's almost like a preamble to the afternoon workshop in which we get to maybe answer some of the questions he's posing. From this perspective, I love when he quoted the Abraham Maslow hierarchy and the self-actualization characteristics of people who consistently pick growth over fear, and how we got that choice right now. We could either go into a consciousness of fear or really go deeper and see, how is this whole COVID situation allowing me, a new part of me, maybe the dark sides of me, to heal and then to remerge. So I know our people, and I know they are in for a grand day.
Yeah. So we'll begin this day, as we always do, with Mimi saying a prayer, and we will follow up as we do our normal format. But remember, this afternoon at 1 o'clock, Gregg's going to do a seminar, and we really recommend you do that.
Thank you so much for tuning in, for being with us all through this year, and we look forward to more love, more expansion, more growth.
The Pastoral Care Ministry has continued to support you, and we also now have prayer chaplains who are available to pray with you one-on-one, just like we did when you were here in the sanctuary. So go to our website, unitytriangle.org. Look on the events on the homepage, scroll down for the Zoom link, and you can connect between services with a prayer chaplain who will be more than happy to support you in prayer. So let us pray. In harmony with Spirit and all that is, we come into the beauty of this day with hope and expectancy, knowing we are all interconnected and an integral part of the one presence and the one power. we cultivate the seeds of our desires and dreams with thoughts and feelings in alignment with the highest spiritual truth we can claim in this moment. The invisible realm of spirit is rich with infinite ideas and possibilities. With no attachment to outcome, we remain open and receptive to the will and the order of the divine. May the love and the light of spirit enfold every name in this prayer box, and may every individual relax and align with their own divinity. As the spark of the divine, we each have our own purpose and mission to fulfill. May the journey be harmonious and guided with wisdom and grace. With open hearts, we rest in this truth with gratitude and joy. And so we let it be. Amen.
In this moment, in this place, I remember who I am, letting fear and worry fall away from me. I open my eyes and see there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only
Begin to meditate. Let's start by adjusting the body and paying attention to the breath, both to bring ourselves into a greater sense of ease and grace in this moment. Letting the mind follow the breath is a beautiful way to harmonize with your own being. And to improve that experience of paying attention to the breath, let's let the breath be a little deeper and a little bit slower. And pay attention by feeling the breath come in, feeling the breath go out. And now with each breath, go a little deeper, a little quieter, a little more at peace. Let your heart flower open. Let it become more open, more relaxed, more at peace. Today we're going to do a little history lesson on our own lives. Knowing that we don't remember most things that happen, let us review our lives starting at age 5. See if you can remember what it was like to be 5. And then what you gave up and what you gained when you went off to school. And from there, we went on to middle school, and what did you give up and what did you gain when you did that? And then you went from middle school to high school, and what did you gain? But what did you have to give up as well? And then what came next? Did you go off to another school? Did you move out of town? Did you go into the military? What did you give up and what did you gain? And then the next transition, what was that? And on your own now, just go through a few of the transitions that have happened since you left high school. The progression of life. We sometimes know, but sometimes don't know what is next. We sometimes enjoy and sometimes suffer through the next change. But we have emerged at this point, and the world is changing again. And so let's do a quick review of the last year. And what did you lose and what did you gain? And see if you can anticipate what you will want to keep and what you will want to let go of this year. And now see if you can take the whole span of your life and hold it on the same screen, all of it, and send love and acceptance for what has been from your heart to that screen, which includes the whole arc of your life. And bring the future and put it on that screen as well. And send your love to that portion of your life also. And now draw your attention back to your own heart, back to your breath, back to this very moment, back into the present. Following the breath, let us be at peace as we sit together in silence.
Give us this day
Hello, Unity Triangle folks. Gregg Levoy here, coming to you from the West Coast. I'm delighted to be able to share some thoughts with you here this morning. And after a year that perhaps we thought would never end, but also in the continued midst of tumultuous times, but also opportune times. For instance, this past year has finally found me entering the brave new world of online teaching and presenting, which only took me 10 years and a plague to finally come around to doing. I love teaching. I'm just a high-touch, low-tech kind of a teacher, so I've always opted for the in-person teaching opportunities. But all of that, of course, has abruptly changed, as most of our lives have abruptly changed. And I'm essentially in the business of public gatherings, so lectures, workshops, retreats, conferences, that sort of thing. And all of that has pretty much gone the way of the dodo bird this year. And if you yourself are, say, a teacher of any kind, or a performer of any kind, or you work for a company whose doors have closed, you're also having to adapt, as I have, at least if we want to continue sharing our work with the world and, of course, continuing to make an income. And at the risk of being blunt, nature has a pretty simple word for those who are unable or unwilling to adapt to change, and the word is extinct. And I think it goes as much for the individual as it does for the species. And the pandemic, of course, has been calling on us to adapt. And for some people, the regime change in Washington has been calling on them to adapt. But either way, adaptation is really just another way of saying to grow. Okay? So, some of you may be familiar with the name Abraham Maslow. Okay? So Maslow is the psychologist who gave us what's called the hierarchy of needs pyramid. Okay? At the bottom, food, clothing, and shelter. A little bit above that, belonging to a tribe, etc. At the top, what he called self-actualization. Although right before he died, he added a new pinnacle to that pyramid, and he called it self-transcendence. But this is what he said about self-actualization. He said self-actualizing types, which would be the kind of people who tend to fulfill their potential, also tend to be the kind of people who tend to make the growth choice over the fear choice routinely. Okay? A high art. Now, Joseph Campbell, who of course gave us the hero's journey and the bumper sticker Follow Your Bliss, he said that phase one of responding to a calling, which of course is the beginning of any hero's or heroine's journey, phase one is running from it. Okay, it's universal, it's inevitable, it's about fear and resistance and maybe anger and having your boat rocked, okay, and which of course callings specialize in, all right? Though it's quite possible that the degree of resistance you might have to whatever the pandemic year has been calling for from you might actually be proportionate to the amount of power and growth waiting to be unleashed when the no turns into a yes. Okay? But the pandemic, for instance, has been offering us an AP class in boat rocking, a graduate level class in boat rocking, wouldn't you say? And actually humans have proven themselves to be extremely good at adaptation, all right? Boat rocking and adaptation. So, now that a vaccine has finally shown up for the coronavirus, it is based on the following wisdom, okay, which is really the bedrock of the entire science of immunology. And that is that you introduce a little bit of chaos into the system to strengthen it. Okay, you shake it up for the sake of helping it grow and evolve. Okay, and the pandemic year has the potential to kind of offer us the same deal. All right. In fact, I think it's interesting that in the central creation story in the Western canon, which is Genesis, chaos with a capital C is described as the condition of the earth before it was formed. Now, what I take that to mean is chaos precedes creation. Okay? Chaos precedes creation. If you deny yourself the one, you're probably going to deny yourself the other. Okay? Reminds me of something Red Fox once said. Remember Red Fox, comedian from Sanford and Son? He once said, "Heroes are not born, they're cornered," which I think is a brilliant insight about how people actually go about making change. So one way to approach this pandemic year, in other words, and one of the purposes it can serve is in exploring how your life might grow and evolve as a result of it. How the chaos and the coronavirus, what it might be calling for from you, whether creatively or professionally, interpersonally, spiritually. All right, it's really, in a sense, it's an opportunity to take an inventory. All right, you know, kind of step outside and look back in through the shop window at your life. All right, how have you been responding to all of this, the pandemic, the political turmoil, etc.? What are you learning? What are you discovering about yourself? Where are growth and creation being evoked? Or probably more likely provoked. But where is that showing up? All right? And I think it's useful to consider this in a personal context, not just a planetary context. Okay? So it's not so much how is this, what is the ultimate purpose of this? Or how might this be a reset for humanity? But how might it be a reset for you personally? All right? Not looking at it from a philosophical point of view. What is the grand scheme of things at work here? All right? But how is that showing up in your life? And to ask yourself questions along the lines of what wants to emerge here at this juncture for you, or awaken for you? All right? What's being given an unexpected entrance cue? What course corrections are being called for? What silver linings are appearing? And of course, what do you want your new normal to look like once the pandemic is in the rearview mirror? Okay, so let me give you some examples of the kind of questions I've been posing to myself this year, and will, in fact, in the webinar this afternoon as well. All right, let me give you some examples. Here's one. Science tells us that an asteroid ushered out the dinosaurs and gave the mammals underfoot, including our forebears, a shot at prominence. Okay, so using that as an analogy, when the, if you will, dinosaurs of the status quo are sidelined, which really they have been for most of us this year, parts of us that are normally overshadowed are going to have an opportunity to come out into the light. All right, give me an example. I have a friend who owns a retail store, and he says that because he no longer has customers coming through the store for most of this year, though he's in the store Monday through Friday 9 to 5 doing the online part of the business, because he doesn't have customers coming through anymore, he's discovered that this is actually a great relief. And he's more of an introvert than he ever knew himself to be, or at least at this phase. And in fact, that his reputation and his identity as Mr. Social doesn't actually fit him anymore. So now he's taking some time to explore this more introverted side of himself. All right. So you might ask the question, what, if any, parts of yourself are you seeing coming out of the shadows or wanting to come out of the shadows this year? All right, what are you discovering or rediscovering about yourself? All right, here's another question. Shakespeare wrote Macbeth, King Lear, and Antony and Cleopatra during a plague. Sir Isaac Newton discovered gravity and invented calculus while in quarantine for the bubonic plague, okay? And at the risk of putting myself into the same sentence with Sir Isaac Newton and William Shakespeare, I myself have discovered that the pandemic is actually one of the best things to happen to my writing in years, because it's given me a tremendous focus for my work and a lot of very juicy and compelling topics to sink my teeth into. Okay, so this is not to diminish, of course, in any way the very real misfortune that a lot of people are experiencing as a result of this past year. But it may be that the sudden disruption in your daily rhythms, to say nothing of the isolation, might unleash your creativity, inventiveness, resourcefulness in ways that wouldn't have happened otherwise. Okay? Not saying you're going to discover any fundamental laws of the universe or, write the next Macbeth, but you might just finish that novel that you've been daring and double daring yourself to write for ever. You might just take up the guitar again. You might start a garden. You might, who knows, finally get around to some of those home improvement projects that you've been sticking on the back burner in deference to the daily grind. Okay, so a good question to ask might also be, what if any, and however modest, what if any bursts in creativity have you noticed yourself engaging in this past year? All right, and here's one more. Some people believe that this whole pandemic is just a biological event. Okay, it's just an organism wanting to reproduce. There's no master plan. There's no grand scheme of things. There's no nature sending us to our rooms to think about what we've done, which is, of course, one of the memes that's been making the rounds since last March. For these people, it's just predation, okay? It's not punishment. But then there are those who genuinely believe that this is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. Okay, this is the beginning of the great turning, the new consciousness, the long hoped for reset for humanity. And to be sure, there are plenty of opportunities in all of this for the spiritual optimists. Okay, lessons to be had in unity and interconnectedness, compassion, service, reaching across the proverbial aisle, and needless to say, lessons in non-attachment, all right? So, to whatever degree you resonate to the second line of thinking, all right, that there's greater meaning and purpose in this, maybe even a lesson, what do you suppose that might be for you? All right? Again, not for humanity, but if these events have unfolded, let's say, in order to bring you a lesson, what do you imagine that lesson might be? All right. Now, an interviewer once reportedly asked Albert Einstein, of all the questions you've posed into the mysteries of the universe, Mr. Einstein, what do you think is the most important question to ask? And Albert Einstein reportedly said, is the universe a friendly place or not? Now, how you answered that question is going to impact and maybe even determine how your life unfolds. You know, how you're going to interpret and respond to the things that happen to you, including events like the pandemic or the political uproar. Okay? Now, you've heard the expression, trust the universe, right? Trust the universe. I've been thinking about that remark a lot lately, as frankly I often do during challenging stretches in my own life. But I've been trying to drill down into it a bit more this time around. So I've been wondering, What exactly does that mean? Trust the universe. What does that mean? What aspects of the universe are you trusting when you say you trust the universe? And is this a skill? Or one from the either you got it or you don't department? And if it's a skill, is it one you can build? Okay. Now, this goes by a lot of different names. And frankly, it's got a noble lineage. Let go and let God. Okay. Trust the process. Have faith. Don't push the river. Thy will be done. Okay. But the definition of trusting something is believing in its reliability. I'm just taking that from Webster's. Trusting something means believing in its reliability. So right off the bat, there's a catch here. Because the universe is, on one hand, it's certainly reliable. Sun comes up, sun goes down, gravity works, etc. But on the other hand, the universe is also reliably unpredictable. I'm thinking of chaos theory, or Murphy's law, or the law of entropy, or, if you don't mind me saying, the famous shit that happens. So saying that you trust the universe has to include trusting that it is also reliably chaotic and random, and that these are forces that operate on affairs down here on the home planet, as we've seen in extremis this year, of course. All right. So trusting the universe means trusting it to be itself, which is a combination of reliable and unreliable, and understanding that you yourself are going to probably operate in a pretty much similar fashion. Now, this requires what I once heard somebody describe as heroism redefined for the modern age, which is the ability to tolerate paradox. Okay? To hold two seemingly contrary ideas or impulses or beliefs inside you at the same time and still retain the ability to function, if not hang on to your cookies and your marbles and your lunch. Okay? So faith and fear, for example, us and them. Okay? Head and heart, reliable and unreliable. Both of them exist simultaneously. One doesn't cancel out the other. Okay? And I believe that paradox requires that you bring these two together to talk to one another. Okay? To talk to one another. Tolkien, who wrote Lord of the Rings, once said, "It doesn't do you any good to leave a dragon out of your calculations if you live near him." Okay? So you have to bring them both to the bargaining table, hammer out a treaty that's going to work for both of them somehow. All right? So, trusting the universe. If not finding some meaning and purpose in this or any particular manifestation of it, I'm thinking of the pandemic here or the political upheavals, right, may ultimately come down to staying in conversation with the universe. Staying in conversation, in co-respondence with the universe, okay? And I think there's a lot of ways of doing that. Dialoguing with the dragons in your life. Asking for dream guidance. Listening to your body. Honoring intuitions and synchronicities. Meditation. Spending time in the natural world. For that matter, journaling. Journaling is actually a fabulous tool for connecting with the bigger picture. I'm thinking of something Ira Progoff once said. Progoff is like the grandfather of personal journaling. He devised a system back in the 60s called the intensive journaling process. And this is what he said about the point of journaling. He said the point of it is to go down deeply enough into your own well that you eventually hit the stream that's the source of all the wells, which is not only a ravishing idea, but it suggests that journaling is a perfect tool for being in conversation with the universe, if you will, as well as just helping yourself feel your way through years like the one we just had, okay, and appear to be on track to continue having for some time. So one of my own responses to the pandemic, and more specifically to the financial anxiety that it's brought on, is to rearrange my morning routine to now include an act of trust. All right, not just an abstract notion of it. And what I'm doing now is, among my other morning routines, I'm now playing 15 or 20 minutes of piano before coming in here into the office to begin working, okay? And I'm doing that in part to demonstrate to myself that I can afford the time to do that, okay? So it's an act of trust, not just a high opinion I have of myself, okay? And really, one of the diagnostics I use anymore to know whether I'm trusting the universe is when I make counterintuitive decisions like that. You know, when I respond to fear, for instance, with surrender rather than striving. Or I choose passion over security sometimes in decision making, or make the growth choice over the fear choice, as Maslow said. Or try to allow things to unfold rather than always trying to make them happen. Make money, make a living, make ends meet, make headway, make a difference. You know what I'm saying? And maybe ultimately trusting the universe isn't even a practical matter or even a psychological matter. Maybe it's really ultimately a spiritual matter. That it's not necessarily about strategizing or creating new affirmations or behavior mod of some kind, all of which are great ideas, as much as maybe sometimes it's just sitting respectfully with things as they are, which I grant you is a high art, easier said than done, but sitting respectfully with things as they are, or feeling what you feel without even needing to understand it, no less do something about it. And maybe even also having a certain forbearance just for mystery, for not knowing, for things being indecisive and unclear and ambiguous, okay? Not just out in the universe mysterious, but in here as well. So in closing, I would humbly encourage each one of us to answer Einstein's question. Answer Einstein's question for yourself. Is the universe a friendly place or not? And maybe explore a little bit about why you believe it's either a friendly place or not. And in closing, also, I'll just mention that the webinar this afternoon, 1 to 4, is a very hands-on opportunity to explore how this whole tumultuous year might unfold for you in terms of creativity and growth and evolution, what it might be calling for from you. So I hope you'll come, and I really want to thank you very much, and especially Reverend Newsom, for inviting me back, having faith in my work. And I'm going to sign off now, and I wish each and every one of us blessings. Thank you.
Everything must change. Nothing stays the same. Everyone will change. No one stays the same. The young become the old. Histories to unfold. Rain comes from the clouds, sun lights up the sky, hummingbirds do fly. Winter turns to spring, a wounded heart will heal. Never much too soon. Yes, everything must change. The young become the old, and mysteries do unfold. That's the way of life. And no one goes unchanged. There are not many things in this life you can be sure of, except rain falls from the clouds, sun lights up the sky, hummingbirds do fly. Rain comes from the clouds, sun lights up the sky, hummingbirds do fly. Except rain falls from the sky, sun lights up the sky. Music makes me cry.
Gregg Levoy, on behalf of our big unity of the Triangle family, thank you so much for bringing your wisdom. I love not only the way he gets to organize all the ideas, but I love how all the references that he offers. It's almost like an opportunity to expand the whatever he's saying. Like, I love the journaling. I was not aware of that work. And journaling is a big part of my spiritual practice. So thank you so much, Gregg, for sharing of your wisdom here. And there's more for all of you who tend to come to the Cyber Fellowship. The Cyber Fellowship right after the 11 o'clock has been canceled to give you time to grab some lunch and be ready for a great workshop that starts at 1. If you haven't registered yet, no problem. You can go online and register now and be ready to participate of this workshop, The Calling of Challenging Times.
And I also want to say thank you to Gregg. Thank you for this. I really appreciate the fact that you seem to be right in the groove of your own life. And one of the things we hope to do here at Unity is help people find and integrate spiritual principles into their own lives, so that their life is more congruent with the highest ideals that they want. One of those ideals, of course, is prosperity. And we think that as you practice giving and being generous with your time, talent, and treasure, you begin to build the consciousness that allows prosperity to flow to you. So I want to thank all of those of you who have been donating to this church. It is a great thing in my life that you have been so generous, and Anna and I are incredibly grateful for that. We encourage you to keep it up, and so please do. But right now we're going to say the affirmation of abundance, which we say every Sunday. So let's do it together.
Perfect.
Together. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is.
And so it is. Guess it's time to say goodbye.
Well, only for an hour. We'll see you in an hour at Gregg's workshop.
Thank you so much for having shared this time with us. We love you. We bless you. We certainly appreciate you. and we behold the Christ in you. Have a marvelous week, and we will see you again next Sunday, if not before.
See you next week.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as Creator, family all on me. Let us walk with our family in perfect harmony. Let peace sing in with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyful vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
The light of God surrounds us.
I am the light of God.
The love of God enfolds us.
I am the love of God.
The power of God protects us.
I am the power of God.
And the presence of God watches over us.
I am the presence of God.
Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.